quarter, you had 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2,
Yeah.
4th and 2. It ended with Josh Allen throwing that interception. Why the reluctance to run the ball there? It seemed like you had a few opportunities to do so.
Yeah, no, I think, it's a fair question. I think at the end of the day, really kind of when we went into it in that drive, we felt really balanced at the time, running pass going into that drive. It was kind of in non-2-minute situations. And then in that drive, we started hitting some screens on them. So tried to hit a screen there instead of running the ball right there on that 2nd and 2 in that thought process. And then on third down, 4th down, trying to throw for it. So that was the thought process there. And, unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. It's something that we're definitely going to evaluate and make sure we're putting our players in the best position possible to succeed moving forward.
How about just the overall look at the run game yesterday? It seemed like Devin had some early success, 9 carries in the first half, I believe only 4 in the second half, leading by 17 in the second half. Why not go to the run with Devin a little bit more throughout that second half?
Yeah, again, I think up to that last drive there where we kind of started to hit some more screens, we were still fairly balanced and, with our run and pass numbers, I believe. And so it's definitely something, again, we're going to, we'll always look at and evaluate kind of what our thought processes was going into those situations. And then obviously at the time we're doing what we feel like is best to capitalize on what they're doing. So, the last drive that one long drive that we're talking about, we hit some draws on them. We did some things, and James Cook had some runs, and we were able to do some things with some other guys. It's just, we got to definitely just look for the consistency of, not only, of when we're calling it, but also the execution of when we do call it.
And not to take up too much of your time, but
No worries.
With Josh Allen's interception struggles in recent weeks, it seems to me anyway, he may not be seeing things as well as he was to begin the season. What's your view on that? It doesn't seem like maybe he's forcing as much as it may be. He may not be seeing defenders coming over, cutting into the passing lane. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's been a few different things that popped up there, whether it's a tip, whether it's we're out of the pocket on the move, and somebody's not in his vision that comes in on some of those scrambles. So again, quarterback play is 100% about being smart, not conservative with the football. We've got to we'll play. We'll continue to stress that and play like that. And when we do, we're going to be we'll be fine with those types of decisions, because I think you can't just go into the game and go into a shell. You've got to be able to be yourself, go out and attack a defense, but at the same time being smart with it. And so I think that's the philosophy we live by, and we just got to make sure we're focusing on that and living by that.
All right. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, John Worrell, AP.
Hey, how's it going, John?
Good. How much is it impatience with Josh right now? I know how competitive he is and how much he wants to win each play, but how much is it impatience?
Yeah, I think when you look at the two yesterday, one, again, it's a scramble drill on 4th down, so he's trying to give his guy a chance to make a play in that situation. So I don't necessarily think that was impatient. And then the one at the end of the game there, it's the right look. It's what he was looking for, but we're just a little off. And if it's not, then just work down. So, again, I don't know if it's too much of the impatience. I think it's just the overall execution of our guys making sure we're in the right spots, and we're protecting Josh, and we're doing all the right things, from a receiver standpoint to a pickup standpoint to a offensive line standpoint, then to obviously to a Josh making decision standpoint.
Gotcha. And just lastly, Josh for the last 3 weeks has talked about he's got to be better at protecting the ball. How much do you hope it finally sinks in, I guess?
Yeah, I think, again, we're going to stress the heck out of it moving forward, and like we have been. And, we've got a ton of faith in Josh. We believe in Josh. He's our guy. And he's done so many good things, and it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of those plays he's making out there on the field, a lot of guys aren't going to make. And so it's that finding that balance, finding that fine line of, when to take those chances and when to throw it away and be smart with the ball. And I think, that's something that we'll continue to talk about every single play, every single, rep that we take, and make sure that we're learning from these experiences.
Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ken. Adam Benini.
Yeah.
Hi. I guess to follow with that, and I'm sure it's connected to what you just discussed with John there, but I mean, the numbers in the second half or the lack of them, right? I think it's a total of 12 points over the last 3 games in the second halves of those games, and not a single touchdown. In the bigger picture, maybe even beyond Josh and some of his decision-making, how would you diagnose those problems?
I think the biggest thing is we just got to make sure, we're staying ourselves. We're playing Buffalo Bills offensive football. We're playing smart, not conservative. We're playing fast, physical, and disciplined ball. We're executing our assignment. We're doing our jobs. And I think that all falls into it. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to look at as coaches to make sure we're putting our players in the best position to have success in those situations. And we're going to look at it on tape to make sure that we're executing and we're doing the things that we need to on the field. And at times there's a lot of good things. There was a lot of good things in that second half of that last game. We just didn't capitalize, and we've got to make sure we're doing that, and we're continue to focus on that and harp on it. And just continue to just lock down the details of what we're doing.
Just a quick follow to that. After the game in the post game yesterday, Stephon Diggs had kind of quoted Von Miller and, the whole don't blink thing. And he thought that it was in a response to this question, actually. He thought that maybe they were blinking in the second half, or you as a team were. When you hear him say that, what does that mean to you? How do you take that?
Well, I think part of it is just kind of that fighting the human nature to relax a little bit when, you've had the first half and then, you're going in the second half, so I mean, the NFL is not easy. And I think everybody in that locker room understands it. There's a lot of talent on every single team we're playing. There will be this week. I mean, it's week in, week out, and teams are going to always give you your best shot no matter who you're playing. And I think that's that mentality that we're talking about. And I think the thing I'm extremely proud of these guys about is, when we had the mishap in the end zone there at the end, they didn't blink. They came back in a 2-minute situation where a lot of teams would potentially just pack it in and be like, tuck their tail between their legs. Those guys didn't blink. They came out, went down the field in an extremely difficult 2-minute situation, operated at a high level, and gave ourselves a chance to win a football game.
Right, Ken, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Ken. Just going off of that, you've been Josh's quarterback's coach when he's not throwing interceptions in the red zone. How can coaching help, and has anything changed this season?
No, I think we'll just again, it's all about learning. I mean, that's what we are as humans. We go through and we make mistakes, and we've got these moments in our lives. I think we all look back in life and we're like, gosh, I wish I had known that, or I wish I had done something different there. That's just part of being human, and that's part of the human nature. And I think Josh, as a competitor, as being human, he's going to look and learn from these things. And we're just going to continue to stress. We're going to continue to coach. We're going to continue to demand, from him, because he's that type of player. He can handle it. He's our guy. He's a great football player. He's one of the best in the league, and we trust him. And so we're just going to continue to talk about these things, learn from them. I know he will. And, that's the expectation that we have for ourselves as coaches and for Josh as a player.
Is there anything that really worked when you were his quarterback's coach only that, you can implement into this season?
Again, I think just getting back to our roots, getting back to what we know of execution, playing smart, not conservative football. If it's there, take it. Down there, there's going to be tight windows. The field's condensed, it's tight windows. So that's going to happen, but it's going to be important in terms of when do we take those chances and the ball location. And we're going to continue to harp on those things. And I think those are kind of the biggest thing. And then just making sure we're looking ourselves from a play calling standpoint to make sure we're giving our guys the best opportunity to make plays and operate.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Ken. You watch Josh sometimes. He does. You mentioned it several times. He's done so many
Mhm.
great things. But you watch him, in this stretch where he struggled a little bit, and it just seems like he's doing so much. And then in the post game, he wants to put the entire loss on himself. How much, as a guy that's been with him for a while and now his offensive coordinator, how much do you have to now take it upon yourself to maybe just say it in a different way, that maybe you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be Superman every game, every quarter.
I think the one of the biggest things we stress to not only Josh, but all of our quarterbacks is trust the guys around you. Trust the guys to make plays. When we're at our best, we're working our progressions and we're going through our reads. And if number one's open, we're taking number one. If not, we're working through the progression. I think, I think he understands that. He knows that. And, I think with him, you're right. It's, he's such a competitor, and, he does, take ownership. He owns everything that happens on the field because he knows that that's what it takes to be a quarterback for a National Football League team, and be the franchise quarterback. And, you appreciate that as a coach. At the same time, you look in at yourself and make sure you're putting him in the right positions to have success. And then, you're making sure that you're coaching him to, in the way that allows him to, go out and trust those things and trust the guys around him.
Mm-hmm. And then Mitch said after the game that, like, he went out there and played not for himself, but for the team, playing with a significant injury, he called it. Like, how much did that injury have to do with the game? Because, like, I mean, an arm injury that quick, to come back, it had to affect them a little bit from your perspective.
Well, yeah, and I think throughout the week, Josh did an unbelievable job getting himself ready to play this week. He really did. He did every single thing that he could possibly do for, to be out there on the field for his team. And that's what you respect about him. And, I think obviously it's something that we just we always monitor. We're going to make sure, again, we're going to look and make sure we're doing the right things for him. And in terms of calling it. And, I think that's just something that at the end of the day, it's going to be part of us moving forward.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, Tim Graham from The Athletic here. Thanks
Hey,
for the time. Even the most basic aspects of football have such a high degree of difficulty to the average person. So I thought it would be educational. Could you take us through, almost in a granular sense, as to what happens on a direct snap from center to the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, especially depending on situation, the look of the defense, you're up there, the play clock's winding down, offense is making calls, defense is moving around. So, you're kind of doing multiple things at once. You're making your calls while listening to the quarterback go through his cadence, and then, as you're snapping it, you're going and firing out, making contact with the defender. And as the quarterback is receiving it, then he's going through and taking his first step as the ball is coming up to him so that he's not getting stepped on. So it's really, it's really like, learning how to dance. I mean? It really is. It's like that first time when you're getting your feet stepped on all the time, until you do it over and over and over again. And then it just becomes second nature, it becomes, human nature. But at the same time, it's like, even the best out there, you watch the Olympics and, these people going through these routines, that they've practiced for 4 years. At times things happen, and you hate it. It kills you when it does. But that again, it's part of ball. It's part of the NFL. It's part of, not taking anything for granted and nothing being easy. And you got to go out and you got to earn every single inch of grass on that field. And I think that's something that we continue to harp on. We continue to make sure our guys understand hey, we've got to go out and earn every single yard that we get out there on every single play. No one's going to just say here and hand you yardage. We got to go out, earn it. We got to go out and take it. We got to go out and execute.
After debriefing with Josh and Mitch, what do you think happened?
Again, I think it was just one of those where, he's going and the ball is just a little off kilter where Josh couldn't get to it, and then the ball's coming down. So, as we're trying to sneak it out of there. So I think it was kind of a perfect storm of, the ball being a little off, us trying to fire out, and it was just kind of a perfect storm of things happening. And us as coaches, we're going to look at some things to make sure to help us out, to make sure we're in good position. One, to make sure we're securing it if the ball is on the ground, and then two, to make sure we're helping to protect the middle.
And then Ken, I'm sorry for flooding the zone here, but what are the options there? What's the discussion before that? Because you really are very limited in what you can do when you're at the 6-inch line.
Well, that's part of the hard part in terms of that situation of, you're back there, you're that far backed up. And then within that game, you don't want to take a safety and then punt to them, from a shortened punt distance in order for them to catch it, and then only a field goal to win it. So again, yeah, you're limited in options, but that's something we're going through and looking at to see if there is, other things that we can do moving forward, and other things that we can do to, help us in those situations.
Thanks for the insight, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you, Mookie?
I'm good, Coach. First half, the team looked very dominant. You got some good balance, something that you talked about, spreading the ball around, something that you hang your hat on. I mean, man, that first half, it looked so perfect. Devin Singletary, he scored twice in the red zone for the first time this year in that first half to start off. Now, and to start off the fourth quarter, you had 3 plays to get 2 yards, to score. Why not go back to Singletary there with what worked with him in the first half down in that red zone, in the fourth quarter there?
Yeah, again, I think in that last drive, we really kind of had some opportunities on some screens. So on that 2nd and 2, we went back to the screen. Then on the 3rd and 2, I'm calling my best play to try to pick up the first down. So that's kind of what the mindset was right there, was trying to use that, something that we had been successful with, try to get a little misdirection screen on them, to convert. And then from that point on, now we're calling our best plays to try to convert on 3rd down, then 4th down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And 2nd and 10, ball is on the 20, a minute 16 to go, 2 timeouts. You go double post, check release with the running back there. Now, as a former quarterback in yourself, what would have did in that situation? What's the right play in that situation, and how do you protect your quarterback from himself at times, Coach, with play calling?
No, yeah, I think, obviously, in that situation right there, you got to trust, trust your guys to make plays for you. And I think I have a ton of faith in our guys to go out there and make plays, and that's what that call was about. And looking at it, there's definitely some execution things that we can do a little bit better all around. And then, from a decision-making standpoint, again, playing smart, not conservative. If it's cloudy at all, then we'll go ahead and outlet it and give ourselves the opportunity on 3rd down to then convert. So again, these are all things that we're going to look at from a call standpoint, decision-making standpoint, execution standpoint moving forward.
Okay. All right, Coach. Hey, I know you got to get it done. You know what I mean? It happens, spoils of the game, something to learn from. And That's how it goes. Good luck
Yes,
this week.
sir. No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey Ken, I was curious, when did you know that Josh was going to start this game?
I mean, obviously there was, times throughout the week where he's rehabbing. We just had to see kind of, where he was going to be at. And, it got to the point, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not sure the exact time and date. You know what I mean? I just know, I'm preparing the week throughout the week for 2 different scenarios. And trusting that, through communication, we're prepared for whichever that scenario might be.
So that was going to be my next question, was what was this past week like for you preparing for 2 quarterbacks? How much did that add to your plate? How much does that change like your weekly routine to have to prepare for both Josh and Case?
Yeah. Obviously, when you're going through it, then you're just kind of trying to take stuff that, Case is comfortable and that then Josh could then operate, and then honestly, some of that stuff then on game day that you had up that, hey, maybe Josh didn't get the rep at, or maybe that, Josh might be not as comfortable with, you take out and you just leave off the game plan you're not calling. So I think that's all part of it. And then you got to look back and make sure that, going through it, that your volume isn't too much when you're looking at a situation like that, because then it's a trickle down effect to the other guys. So that was the main focus for us, is making sure that, our volume wasn't too much for all of our guys to handle. And then, making sure that we had enough offense in our minds for any contingency.
And then I was curious too, you had mentioned in a previous answer that, calling a game that Josh would be comfortable with given his injury. What were the limitations involved there? Were there certain plays you were like, he's not comfortable with, or what was taken off the table, or what situations did you not want to put him in because of it?
Well, honestly, just kind of then going into the game, and really it was kind of a feel thing as the game went, and then going into the game through warmups and everything like that, how he felt, constant communication there. And it got to the point where, there weren't really many throws off the table. It was just taking off concepts that maybe he wasn't as comfortable with because, one, he didn't either have the rep, or just in general, they're not, concepts he loves or he feels great about. So, throughout the game, there wasn't really a feel of a restriction in terms of we could only throw things short, or we couldn't throw downfield, or whatever it might be, field boundary. However, he was really making all the throws throughout the game. And I think we all saw that. It was just kind of the plays that got taken out that weren't a comfort level for him.
And last one for me, sorry, but I'm just curious too, because obviously when he runs, it involves that arm and all of that. Was there any hesitancy because he's coming off an injury to, when you're calling, if there's a run play or he might scramble more? Is there any hesitancy yesterday, and even if it's just you end up calling it, but to not put him in situations he could injure himself more because of what happened the previous week?
No, yeah, I think that's definitely a consideration, going into the game. We wanted to make sure that we weren't putting him in positions to take hits on, and really, to be honest, we're trying to do that anyways, and we're really making a concerted effort to make sure we're limiting the times that we're asking him to do stuff where he's going to, take extra hits. So, that does, we've called, less on some of those things where we're asking him to do those quarterback runs and things like that throughout the year, than probably we have in the past. And then it's just continuing to stress on them in terms of making good decisions when we are taking off and running with it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, just following up on some of the quarterback stuff. I know ultimately Case didn't have to start for you guys, but just what did you see out of him this week in preparation? Is there anything with him getting more reps on some of those days where you learned anything about him just with more time on task?
Yeah, no, and for Case, it was really good to for him to get in that rhythm of, just running our offense and doing our stuff instead of, the scout team carded stuff of the opponents. So it was invaluable reps for him, and moving forward in case, he does have to play, because it gets him back in the rhythm again of him being able to run our offense, being able to operate that, the guys up front and the guys around him, being able to hear his voice in the huddle, and him at the line of scrimmage. So those things were, I think, invaluable for Case moving forward.
Yeah, and then last one, I was curious, just, it seems you guys the last few years have had the backup with such a dual role there and had that veteran presence. So is that something like, what does he bring to the table there of preparing the defense as well, but also having to be ready for all that? And like, why do you guys like him to do it that way?
I think it's, it's something where, you feel really good about him because he's seen so much football. And just naturally in the NFL, the number 2 guy doesn't get a lot of your reps because obviously the starter's preparing to play. So that's consistent throughout the league. And so, those reps for him to get ready and making sure he's getting his throws in are on the scout team carded stuff. And that's why I think it's great to have the luxury of having a guy with his type of experience, because he's can come in and play. He can, he's seen a lot of situations, and it's something he's had to do in the past already.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all for today. Thanks, Ken.
Okay, thank you.